You've tuned in to the 25-26 19 Media Group NBA predictions video. And without further ado, here's the panel.
This is Desmond Powell, host and creator of Hip to the Game.
What up, yo? It's Warren Shaw. I'm the co-founder of 19 Media Group, co-host of the Baseline NBA podcast, and host of dope interviews on the mighty 19 Media Group.
What's up, everybody? Gerald Brown of the Bottom Line Sports Show on Sirius X NBA Radio, as well as Mad Dog Sports Radio, as well as Heavy in the Paint with Kenny Anderson on the 19 Media Group platform. Pleasure and honor to be here.
My name is Jamieson from the Mix Company Podcast. Happy to join the discussion here for the upcoming NBA season and hopefully give you all some great answers and great content.
Cal Gameface Lee, co-host of the Baseline NBA Podcast.
Hey, what's up? I'm Tyler McDowell Blanken, co-host of the Gimmick Infringement Podcast here on 19 Media Group.
I'm sure you've seen it. There's a recent ESPN poll. They generally ask coaches, executives, and scouts, like a variety of them, a variety of questions, and they asked who the best American player is. They determined it's still Steph Curry, but what say you?
My best American player right now might be two individuals. I think, honestly, going into this season, I would have to perhaps maybe say Jalen Brunson as 1A, and then 1A would be Anthony Edwards. I think those two of those two players right there would be my. I know you said one best American player, but I think really it have to be divided really down the line and say that it would be between Jalen Brunson and definitely Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be a prisoner of the moment, but I think the best American player right now is Steph Curry because Jason Tatum is hurt. Because I think it would be Tatum because of the two-way ability. Obviously, his always being in the running of MVP, as Curry kind of always is too, but kind of on the fringe ends of that, especially because of the influx of the European market. Like with the Euros are not only they come in, they are here. So the notion of a best American player is a really interesting, concept. But right now, I think it is Curry. I can see where some people would want to say Anthony Edwards. I really can. LeBron still has a lot of value. AD's losing the notion of that because of the injury stuff, but I think when you're talking about his impact on winning on both ends of the floor, he's somebody who could be in terms of best American player. And then another guy could also be Jalen Brunson from New York. But I think where we're at right now is it's Steph Curry until Tatum can get back to full health.
The best American player currently that's healthy is Anthony Edwards.
Oh, okay.
Look at the game itself, like offense, defense, availability, durability, age. He's the guy. He's the guy. If Tatum was healthy, probably be him, but Anthony Edwards is the best American player at this moment because he's going to play 75 plus games. He's going to be available, and I think that's huge.
No, that's completely understandable because my follow-up for everybody has been how long before Anthony Edwards, and if it's not Anthony Edwards, who else? I appreciate you mentioning Tatum because as much as it's fun to joke around about, he's not this or he's not that, and to give Celtics fans a hard time, he is still a truly great American-born player, and will continue to be in that conversation even post-injury, in my opinion.
Heart almost said LeBron James, man. It did, but when I thought back to Stephen Curry's game versus Orlando, he went off. He had a triple-double versus Memphis, and I got to see him in person at the United Center. To see a Stephen Curry flurry in person is the wildest experience. When I thought back to that, I couldn't help but agree.
And to be honest with you, I don't think there's going to be much pushback on this question. The only question that I do have in follow-up is how long until we can expect Anthony Edwards or a player of that ilk to surpass Steph? Could this be the year?
I would give it, I think after this season, it could be a realistic thing, especially if he really is working on that post game like they say he is, and he can blend everything together. He just seems to be one of those players that adds to his game year in year out. So we'll see. I'll give it 1 to 2 years.
It's a great way to start, Jabari. My pick for best American player in today's game, of course, it's Steph Curry. Absolutely. I thought about this. Now, I was going to go a couple different directions because you got Anthony Edwards really creeping up, showing signs. Clearly, he is next up in that regard. But I got to choose Steph Curry. Come on. He's Steph. He still got it.
My pick for the best American player in today's game is Anthony Edwards.
Oh. Is it because he's a two-way guy?
he's a two-way guy, and his energy and the way that he plays the game of basketball is a constant throwback and a reminder that bridges what we loved about the NBA back in the 90s and early 2000s, and what we're hoping to see is kind of a course correct where not everything is solidified by just shooting the basketball, and showing athleticism and the ability to play against any and everyone, and not pick and choose against who you defend and things of that nature. So I see him as that kind of guy, even though there have been other people I would have obviously looked at and selected to, but I think injuries have kind of tempered down those expectations until we see those guys fully healthy. I think Anthony Edwards is my man.
Yeah, my 25-26 MVP prediction is going to be Victor Wembanyama. And I know I think we're maybe I'm a year early, but I just see something in dude that I think we all see. I think there's the notion of, he had the team success. I think there's some this is going to be a play-in team type of situation. Fox is injured to start the year, and some of that stuff as well too. Do they have enough help from the guard rotation? I get all of that. But I think if this guy can get the games played limit situation down, he's going to put up numbers that we haven't seen, in a while, especially when you throw in the amount of blocks that he's going to be able to do. Obviously his rebounding and his scoring as well too. So I'm going to go with Wemby. I know Luka has a narrative, skinny Luka in the whole nine, and I know that's the NBA, that's the popular and the sexy pick. I'm going to go a little unconventional with skinny Wemby.
I am not mad at that pick. That is, you are the only one that has made that pick. But what I will say is this: I agree. We saw it. We saw last year. I mean, you saw it from the start. But last year, prior to that injury, it was like, okay. So
that's the voice right there, like, ooh.
yeah, where it's like, okay, he's doing that now. All right.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, I do think you're a year early, but there's nothing wrong with being a year early on that train, because once it's there, it's there. Once he's there, good luck.
My selection for the most valuable player award in this season will be Luka Doncic, and not because there's no one else capable of winning it. The narrative's already started. The buzz is already. You combine the buzz that has been going on the whole offseason, the team he plays for, the story of him, getting back on track. It's a perfect storm. The Lakers have a pretty good team around them. They can finish top 5 in the West and be very competitive with pretty much anyone in that conference. And they're going to be in the mix. So you put all those things in, he's going to be the MVP of this season.
My MVP pick will be Anthony Edwards.
Oh, okay. Hey,
I think this is the window.
Is a word. Okay, I got you.
This is the window. This is it for him, right? He doesn't have Karl Anthony Towns. He doesn't even have the same complementary players he had that got him back to where he was 2 years in a row, which is to the Western Conference Finals. I think the heavy lift is ready, is there for him. And I think with the whole NBA wide open with the vast injuries and moves being made, this is a opportunity he can kick the door in while everyone is focusing on all these other teams. This is an opportunity he can actually kick the door in and really amaze people. So he, to me, has the inside straight to that MVP trophy.
My MVP prediction would be Anthony Edwards. And the only reason why I say that, and it's interesting, I'm going to go back to both him and Jalen Brunson again, because the reason why I say Anthony Edwards, look, he's playing in the Western Conference, and that's going to be a gauntlet again for all those teams that have aspirations of getting to the NBA Finals, let alone winning the NBA championship. I think Anthony Edwards has really matured right in front of our eyes, and clearly the level of difficulty that exists in that Western Conference. The Minnesota Timberwolves go as far as Anthony Ant-Man Edwards can take them. Now, in some regards, when I look at Jalen Brunson, well, he has a stronger cast in my humble opinion. Look, Julius Randle had an unbelievable season last year when he was healthy, but Karl Anthony Towns came over and was a difference maker for the New York Knicks. And obviously Brunson has been sort of steady. But right now, my MVP prediction would be, out of nowhere, would be Anthony Ant-Man Edwards to take that next step.
I'm so excited to share this one. My pick for MVP is the New York Knicks' Jalen Brunson.
Gotcha. Because when you started that way, I thought, is this man about to say Devin Booker? Is he about to say? Is he about to? No, but
we'll get there, Jabari. Don't you worry. But I got to start off strong. I got to rep for my light-skinned brethren. We're going Steph Best American. We're going Jalen Brunson MVP in the Eastern Conference. His roadmap is clear. He's going to have the green light. I think the Knicks are going to lock in that number 1 seed. I think this is going to be his year to make that jump.
My MVP prediction for the season is Nikola Jokic. I think that dude is going to get another one. I love Shea, love Giannis, but I think Joker's in that front seat.
What is your official Rookie of the Year prediction?
My Rookie of the Year pick is Cooper Flag. I think people may not recognize how much the Dallas Mavericks are really going to need his presence and overall play. I think he is going to pick up the game very quickly, given the conference that he's playing in and the level of competition that he's going to be up against on a night in, night out basis. I even just think by default, the uncertainty of Dylan Harper and the rest of those other guys may play a role where Cooper doesn't even have to be great. He could just be good. And as long as the Dallas Mavericks remain relevant, he stays relevant in the Rookie of the Year conversation. I think he takes it.
Cooper Flag is my pick for Rookie of the Year. I don't see anybody else. I think this class is very similar to last year, except this year there actually is a true number 1 guy, and I think it's Cooper Flag.
I'm struggling with my official Rookie of the Year prediction. I don't have a great answer. My initial response was Concaniple out of Charlotte because I think opportunity is going to be there, and Charlotte really needs an influx of life playmaking even outside of Lonzo, and of LaMelo rather. And if LaMelo goes down again, then that increases opportunity. But I'm going to shift gears from my original thought of Con and actually go with Ace Bailey in Utah.
Okay.
And I think Markkanen's going to get, well, that's probably, moving into another one of your questions, but I think Markkanen gets moved and Ace Bailey gets an opportunity, especially second half of the year, to just kind of go ball the hell out. I think he'll finish extremely strong in Utah, and so I'm going to go with Ace Bailey as my pick for Rookie.
It's tough because Rookie of the Year is also a political award. It's an award where even though there's going to be capable guys winning it, I mean, if Cooper Flag just does the thing he's really good at, it's going to get magnified so much, and it's going to be emphasized so much that if he averages like 15, 7, and 4, it's going to be like, oh my God, he's doing the best thing since sliced bread. Unless a rookie out there averages 25 and gets their team to the playoffs, it's going to be Cooper Flag. Like, I would be shocked if anyone else wins Rookie of the Year.
My Rookie of the Year prediction is Cooper Flag. This was a layup for me. I'm a big fan, not a big fan of what he did against our beloved Arizona Wildcats in the tourney, but big fan of his game, big fan of the situation that somehow he entered with the Dallas Mavericks getting the number 1 pick. Your good friend, Nico Harrison, right? Jabari.
That's the homie.
I don't know.
Permanent invite. Permanent
invite on the podcast in real life to the cookout.
He could sit in the big chair. He could have the big piece of chicken. He could, hey man, come through.
As you should. With how that's crazy. With how fortune favored the bold in this case, it's wild that Dallas ended up with the number 1 pick. But I think it's a great situation for Cooper Flag, and in college he showed all the intangibles to be able to make an impact right away. I love his court vision. I love the consistency with the jump shot. He's going to be a great addition to Dallas.
No, Cooper Flag, honestly, he's in a great situation to be a rookie that clearly is going to be in the NBA playoffs. They might even win a round. But my my Rookie of the Year, NBA Rookie of the Year, will be coming from the Eastern Conference, and that'll be VJ Edgecombe. I think clearly because he has an opportunity that, look, Joel Embiid is going to be there sometimes. We don't know the health of him along with Paul George. So right now, he is going to have an opportunity to A, play a lot, B, take a lot of shots, because between him and Tyrese Maxey, he's in that pecking order to be able to put up a lot of shots as well as play a lot. I think with Cooper Flag, yes, Cooper Flag is going to play a lot also, but with Kyrie Irving there, with Anthony Davis there, I'm not looking at a heavy volume of shot selections in place for him to be even considered a Rookie of the Year. So VJ Edgecombe, I'm going to say would be my favorite to win the Rookie of the Year.
Who's winning Defensive Player of the Year this year? The reason why, and this is one that's interesting to me, you as an expert sports bettor, top 5 guys, at least when I checked over the weekend, it was, according to betting, is Wemby, followed by Chet, Amen Thompson, followed by AD, and then throwing, sprinkling a little Draymond in there just for, nostalgia purposes.
Well, a couple years ago, we had this conversation, and, Victor Wembanyama was like 100 to 1 or something like that. And he was on pace to get it, and he got hurt. So, again, my depoy this year would be Victor Wembanyama. He's got to stay healthy. You got to get 65 games somehow. He's the guy. Because it's not just the blocks and the steals. It's how he affects what you do on offense. Like, you got to really think about how you attack the Spurs and the amount of shots he changes and the system he changes and impacts. Those are things that you have to account for. So defensive player of the year, it's more than just block shots. It's more than just rebounds. It's a lot of things cumulative, and he covers all the bases. So if I had to put money on it, if I had to, put my name behind it, it's Victor Wembanyama. However, I will say this. If Walker Kessler gets to a different team, a better team, and for what he does, what he's really good at, blocking shots and getting boards and actually being a really good interior defender, it would not surprise me if he got to a really good team and he's the guy that's changing how their defenses ran. It would not surprise me if he made some noise in that one. He'd be a long shot bet, but that's a guy I would take a look at in my opinion.
This is so tough, man, because how can you not pick Victor Wembanyama? But at the same time, he has struggled to be healthy enough to actually win the award.
65
and Jabari,
games.
I am right with you, man. I don't know why in the world we are going to sit here and let Anthony Davis not get a Defensive Player of the Year. I can't see that.
Look, man, let me just say, and shout out to FanDuel, because that is the preferred app for me. I have made that bet. Now, admittedly, I've made that bet the last 4 seasons and thought this is the year. This is the year. What I will say is this. If AD plays 65 games, I think they're going to find a way to get him that award. I'm not saying that they groove awards to folks, but I'm just going to say I think they kind of do. Sometimes it's hey, man, you know what? We should have got you by now. Kobe in 08 comes to mind. Not saying that he did not deserve it then. I'm just saying I felt that he probably deserved at least significantly more love for the award in the mid-aughts. But bringing it back to now, I'm right here with you. AD, if it's either now or never, and it really does feel like it's going to be a matter of whether he plays 65 games or not.
25-26 Defensive Player of the Year is going to be my guy Wemby. He's just going to have the banner year. The blocks, even the deterrent. I think Brook Lopez for many years was one of the leading shot contesters, in the NBA. I think Wemby's going to be, around those numbers, while Brook Lopez was never in the he was in conversation with Defensive Players a couple of years ago. I think what we're seeing from Wemby is going to be just truly amazing. In addition to, there's going to be stability in the coaching ranks as well now too. With Pop ultimately stepping away, I think everybody can be settled in what their role needs to be, in that space. And Wemby was going to win it last year. I was a little surprised that Evan Mobley took it. I think Mobley's a good defender, a plus defender. I don't know. I don't get Defensive Player of the Year vibes, but I understood where they went with that. I probably would have voted Dyson Daniels myself. But I think Wemby's going to be able to get, his revenge tour a little bit this year. But with Amen Thompson probably being a very, very close second, in the running, I think Amen is obviously due for a breakout year with all the things happening in Houston.
Well, I mean, look, Victor Wembanyama should have had one before. I'm going to say Victor Wembanyama this time gets it. And I think his team is going to make another step forward. So I'm going to lean and say my Defensive Player of the Year will be Victor Wembanyama. And Victor Wembanyama should have won it the other year when Rudy Gobert won it. But because of the season that the Spurs were having as opposed to the Timberwolves, it was given to Gobert. But this time around, my Defensive Player of the Year is Victor Wembanyama of the San Antonio Spurs.
My Defensive Player of the Year pick will be Victor Wembanyama. I just think that there's nobody right now who can alter the game on both levels extensively and, below the paint quite like Victor Wembanyama. And again, I think a lot of it is going to come down to him staying healthy. But this is, the opportunity for him to really make his mark and show people with what his size can do. and also extend himself to the level of his versatility. So, he's going to always be in that conversation, but I just think he can just basically grab this trophy in his sleep. And the San Antonio Spurs, I think, is going through a transformative stage. And I think this is where he kind of fits in to help establish that level, that hierarchy of dominance for himself, is getting that Defensive Player of the Year trophy.
My pick for Defensive Player of the Year is Victor Wembanyama of the San Antonio Spurs.
This is not shade, I promise. If he doesn't play enough games again, then who?
Yeah, that's true. My second pick.
Let me help you here a little bit.
Yeah.
According to Vegas,
right.
They know everything.
We know the odds makers. Yeah. What they got?
It's Wemby is top, followed by Chet.
Okay.
Followed by Amin Thompson, followed by my guy AD. Same thing. You're gonna play enough with, let's see. Followed by Draymond.
Interesting. I'm actually gonna go with Dyson Daniels as my backup.
He was next. He was
okay. I love it. Most improved player last year, and we're going to talk about Atlanta in a little bit. I'll just tease that there. I really like Atlanta's upside heading into the season, which is something I didn't think I'd say for as long as I've been following the Hawks. But Dyson Daniels, an integral component there, coming off most improved player last year. I love what he can do. I know typically defensive player tends to swing more of a big man award, but Dyson is so good on the perimeter, and whether it's him or Thompson. I like one of those two, but I'm going to go Dyson as my official backup pick.
All right, let's keep it going. Which player is going to lead the league in scoring this season?
That's an amazing question. So the player that will lead the league in scoring, I'm going to go with Shai again, because Shai is going to get you 30, and you know that. And he's relatively durable. I think when we talk about these awards and these predictions, we never predict about health or put that to the equation. Yeah. With him, you're getting your 30, and it's relatively non-taxing 30. He's not falling a lot. He's not going to the hoop and getting hit a lot. He's not picking himself off the ground a lot. He gets to a spot, shoots a lot of free throws. Mm-hmm. A lot of free throws. I'm going to emphasize again, a lot of free throws. So that gets you 10 points a game plus. And when you're getting 10 freebies and you're healthy, playing 75 plus games, there's a great chance you're going to be the leading scorer in the league. I mean, Jokic is always going to be there, even though I think this year they have more help. So I don't know if he's going to score as much because they have better guys on the bench now and guys that are going to be shooting a little bit more. Whenever you have a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr. come off the bench, he's going to get his shots up. So Jokic's going to have to score a couple fewer points. But with that being said, Shai's probably going to be the leader, but Jokic, Giannis, Luka are all going to be in the conversation because they're going to get it up. Giannis being in Milwaukee, you know what it's going to be, so it's going to be fun.
I think Giannis finally gets one. He's averaged 30 the last 3 seasons and still hasn't got one. I think this is that year.
Let's be real. The Eastern Conference, and again, this is a much larger conversation, but the Eastern Conference seems as wide open as it's ever seemed, and it's been pretty wide open, these last 3-4 years, to begin with. Outside of the expectations or anticipation, of an eventual Boston outbreak. If I am Giannis, I look at it like, hey, look, give me all of the awards. I need one more year of at least the attempt of being Terminator Giannis. And let's really get after it. So I'm excited to see what he can do, and I would probably agree with you. If it's not Luka, it's going to be Giannis. Just going to be honest with you. Shai's always going to be in that conversation because from a production standpoint, he's always going to get to the line. He's always going to put up points. But I could see him falling back a little bit this season, prioritizing now that they've been to through the fires, prioritizing the deep run as opposed to the 82. But we shall see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of controversial picks here. I think, SGA is somebody who's going to be right up there too. But if I just wanted to go against the grade, I'm going to go the guy who finished second last year, and I'll say Giannis. I think Milwaukee's just in that space where, they need him to do so much. I think we're going to get back to actually point Giannis days as well too, because they don't have any really great ball handling options there too. Cole Anthony, hey, you're a good dude. Kevin Porter Jr., maybe not such a good dude, but at the end of the day, Giannis has the chops, and I think with the ball in his hand as much as he is, all the decision making falling within him, I think he'll be a little bit not necessarily selfish but aggressive in a way that probably gets him to in that 32-33 point per game range.
The player that will lead the league in scoring this year, I really believe, will be Kevin Durant. Durant obviously is in a space where, he's coming in and he's going to be the guy that takes the shots down the stretch. I think that role is even increased even furthermore with the absence and the loss of Fred VanVleet. So he's going to have to do a little bit more as well. And I think that clearly him being that leader, this is what you brought him in there to do that. So I'm looking at a guy like, I would say that the leading scorer for the NBA will be Kevin Durant. And if I could throw another one in there, Ja Morant. I think Ja Morant could be the leading scorer of the NBA if healthy, and obviously with the scoring load and responsibility that will be now asked upon him, especially if Jaren Jackson Jr. just starts the year off not able to play, still dealing with that injury, surgery from that, and also no Desmond Bain there anymore. So I definitely look at those two individuals perhaps being guys that will lead the league in scoring.
Oh, okay. I'm very excited for this.
Oh,
my pick, who will lead the league in scoring this season? It is going to be the one and only Devin Armani Booker.
okay. So,
I need this for my spirit as well, Jabari. He is going to have the greenest of green lights. I expect him to just put up big numbers. I don't know how many. I'm not ready to pick how many games the Suns are going to win this season, but I am willing to say Devin Booker is going to lead the league in scoring. Lock it in.
So he is currently sixth. I looked this up and I knew. I'm going to be straight up. I think Devin Booker and Jalen Green are going to put up really fun numbers. I think they're going to put up big numbers. Like I totally see, Devin Booker, being in that conversation. I don't think it's going to lead to a lot of wins. And here I'm not clowning. I'm being genuine about it. But I think it's going to be fun, and at least like that in between season while they're figuring it out in the aftermath of all of the moves that they made over the last few seasons. Let me get a few candidates for most improved. And the reason why I asked for a few is, look, with most improved, that for me, that's the one where it's like, well, I mean, it really depends on the circumstances. It depends on, like how the voters are feeling. Are they going to go with a former high pick that, disappointed for a couple of years and then figured it out? Are they going to go with someone that has actually improved significantly over the years? Who are a few guys that you could see winning that award?
Yeah, this award always drives me friggin' batty, because like I said, the criteria is so wild, and it's just going to be the guy who gets the most amount of minutes now that didn't get minutes last year. So, I think Nembhard in Indiana is a guy that everyone is like looking at because Tyrese will be out. Even Mathurin, on the same Pacers team, is just like, well, we kind of know who they are already. I was like, I don't know if they're actually most improved or they're just going to have the most new opportunity. So I'm going to go with Bucelis in Chicago as my MVP. I think, again, opportunity will be there. Chicago understands now that they got to change their identity. No DeRozan, no Levine, et cetera, et cetera. Kobe White and Giddey are, good players in their own rights. I think Bucelis has a amazing opportunity to really kind of step forward here too, and especially if they move off Vucevic at some point during this year, just more reps for him to be a plus rebounder and those types of things. Other guys that I considered Asar Thompson in Detroit, and then my real like way out there pick is Kel'el Ware in Miami. Because again, he's got the athleticism, but as I came from Miami Heat media today, I realized there is such a thing as Eric Spoelstra doghouse, and many of those guys were in it, including Kel'el. So I don't know if he'll be able to get out of it, but I think he has most improved player potential. But he's only in year 2, so sometimes voters don't like to go for that. So anyway, I'm going to go with Bucelis as my number 1 guy.
My top 3, my picks for most improved: the Thompson twins and Andrew Nembhard. And let's be realistic. Both the Thompson twins are going to be key players for their teams to establish where they're expected to be for this upcoming season. Both Amin, who I think has an opportunity to be literally the second best scorer on this team, right? And probably one of the more clutch players you're going to see being involved in the fourth quarter. I think he started to gain that confidence late last season. Sword Thompson, I think, we were just talking about Defensive Player of the Year. If Bickerstaff deploys him and utilizes him the way that he is meant to be utilized, I think that his minutes go up, and I think that he is going to be a key player in where the Detroit Pistons land in the Eastern Conference pecking order. And Nembhard, this is, I don't wish befall any injury on anyone, but this could have been the greatest circumstance to happen for the Indiana Pacers, because now you really begin to buy in and believe. You saw how he became clutch for the Indiana Pacers to get them to the NBA Finals, and ultimately was a key player to giving the Indiana Pacers an opportunity to possibly win the NBA title, right? This is now the carryover. Nembhard is going to take that next level up, especially with Halliburton on the shelf. Watch for him. No Miles Turner. That means shots are flying off of that kid's hands. If he starts hitting them at a high clip, you know, he could be one of those early MVP type players that people talk about. It's not reflective of the record. It's just reflective of his importance in the relevancy of where the Indiana Pacers are.
The most improved candidates, most improved player in the candidates I'm going to start off with is Peyton Pritchard of Boston. I think his role will be a little bit different now that Jason Tatum is going to be out pretty much for the foreseeable future, and obviously not even thinking about playing this year. So now the Celtics are going to need another additional scorer to go with Jaylen Brown, and obviously, you know, no Al Horford there. So that's going to be a role that's going to be filled, I believe, by multiple guys. And I think Peyton Pritchard is that guy that's the next one to step up. After that, you know, I think Naz Reid did a lot in that 6-man role last year. You know, I just wonder in question in terms of his ability to be able to add more. But as I look around the league as a whole, I think really the one that stands out to me ultimately is Peyton Pritchard as perhaps maybe the guy that I said stands alone in being that most improved player. Because I was thinking about a guy like Jalen Johnson in Atlanta, Dyson Daniels, you know, and also in Atlanta. But Peyton Pritchard, I think just because of what is missing, that ultimately these guys are going to go into the season needing that more than ever with any of the other teams. And I throw another name in there that I perhaps could say as I'm thinking about it. The young man, I would say, also would be a potential most improved player candidate will be Ruben Nembhard of the Indiana Pacers. You know, the biggest thing is we can look at, and in all likelihood, I believe that the most improved player will come from a team that has lost potentially one of their star players this past playoffs year, and that being obviously with Boston, as I mentioned, with a guy like Peyton Pritchard, and also Indiana Pacers with the loss of Tyrese Halliburton, and you have a Nembhard, who are definitely going to need to take a next step up.
I love that answer, and because here's the funny thing. Peyton Pritchard won 6th man of the year last year, and deservedly so. But I absolutely could see that based on what you just broke down. The fact that there's, you know, like as you mentioned, no Porzingis and no, you know, Tatum and no Drew Holiday. I don't even know if we got that. Like this is setting up for a guy that's already shown that he's a good player to show like he can really do with the opportunity. So no, I love that answer.
So most improved is a weird award because people be having like second year guys most improved.
Yeah,
and that's not really like
not the spirit of it.
Yeah, like it's not
your
really
former top picks.
Yeah, right. Or recent ones too. Not like from 2015. They were like from 2022. It's like, well, no, that's not how this goes. So it's a weird award because the context has been lost. However, to me, like for instance, if DeAndre Ayton had a breakthrough year, would he count?
For me, yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying.
Here's why.
If he figured it out, would that count?
Full disclosure, I'm biased. I bet him. So
okay. So I was saying like guys like that where they kind of left for dead, and then all of a sudden they figure it out.
Yeah, specifically because of all of the expectations that that go into being a top pick in general, let alone the top pick in that draft. And how it's been a pretty unceremonious drop over the last couple of years. Last year in Phoenix, and then his last year in Phoenix, and then the last whatever stretch in Portland. It's been a significant drop off. I'm not saying I expect someone like him to win it, but like say for instance he can return to form. Say he puts up a year where he throws in 17 points, gets you 12, 13 boards a game, plays solid defense, and is a part of a good Lakers team, that's the world that I could see that taking place.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So you have an example like that. Also, a guy like Jalen Johnson, who has all-star talent, but always gets hurt. So he's been on an all-star trajectory for the last couple of years. He just gets hurt and hasn't played a full season. But that's a guy I look at like, hey, he can really make some things shake. He just got to play the games, man, and it's been an issue with that thus far. So he's a guy I would look at. And Ben Thompson, for the rules we're talking about, he's the guy they're going to probably try to give it to, but it doesn't quite fit what the award is. It doesn't make sense. So he takes a leap to an all-star caliber player. Technically, it's most improved, but no, he's a lottery pick. He's supposed to be doing this in year 3.
I think there's always a kind of runaway favorite, but then there are some guys that are going to be in the conversation. And I think that one of those runaway guys, I think, is going to be Andrew Nembhard. I think that's a pretty easy pick with the situation he's going into with Tyrese being out, obviously. But then the next two guys, I went with the homer pick in Matas Buzelis. I think he, with a full season, now knowing his role, now knowing that I think Billy Donovan finally woke up to say, okay, we can let this guy run a little bit. I think that'll help him. And I went with Alex Sarr. I think Washington has a lot of interesting young pieces, and I think he can be one of those guys that improves. I would like to see him for a 7-footer get a lot more rebounds than he did, but we'll see. I think there's opportunity there.
3 candidates for most improved player of the year are Ben Mathurin, Arizona Wildcat turned Indiana Pacer. Given Halliburton's injury, I'm expecting him to have his best season in the league so far. We know he's going to be inserted into that starting lineup per Rick Carlisle. So looking for great things from one Benedict Mathurin. Phoenix Suns talk. I got to go Jalen Green here. Admittedly, I was not a believer for most of the summer, but I just need this for my spirit, Jabari. I need Jalen Green to play well this year. I need him to show some semblance of defensive chops, and he is going to certainly have the opportunity to show what he can do. And frankly, from a motivation standpoint, I would think the person that Jalen Green is, you had this great situation in Houston, you're a core piece, and then you get moved. And everyone knew you were going to be that piece to get moved for Kevin Durant. I wonder from a motivation standpoint how he's feeling. So Jalen Green's my second pick. And then finally, a former Phoenix Sun turned Brooklyn Net, turned Denver Nugget, Cam Johnson. He is going to fit like a glove in Denver's system. I can already envision the passes he's going to get from Nikola Jokic. And I expect him to be a great addition to Denver's roster.
Biggest name to be moved before the deadline?
Ooh, that is a great question.
While you're thinking about it, I can throw some that people have already mentioned.
No, I got one. John Morant. The biggest name to be moved before the deadline will be John Morant. I think Memphis is going to blow it up, not because of anything. I just think that group has run its course. They had their chance in 22. 22 was their year in the sports. So we old school fans. So we're used to teams having a 7-year window, a 5-year window. That's done. There's no more this is year to year.
That second apron really
over. And now you add a second apron in. You have the new CBA. You got all the craziness. People don't have picks. I think Memphis eventually shakes it up, blows it up. Remember, they're coming into the season with no Triple J, and I believe there's Brandon Clark still out.
Yep,
so your front court is Bane's gone. So I don't see, for the amount of money they're paying that roster, for the amount of salary that's allocated, and for their situation in general, eventually you got to come to grips like, hey, this isn't working. They extended Triple J over the offseason. Hey, I think Ja's the guy that, I don't know where he goes, but I can see him getting shopped to move midseason.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that's going to be moved by the deadline is Lauri Markkanen. Utah understands that it's probably time. And Lauri is a guy who can literally play anywhere, with his spacing, decent rebounder as well too. Not necessarily a play creator, but also can put it on the floor and get to the rim at times. There's not a lot of teams that don't or cannot utilize that. And I think the teams ironically that have been waiting for something to maybe drop. Obviously, Golden State's been sniffing around for a while, but San Antonio and Detroit are also teams that have been looking at Lauri as a potential option to upgrade, their 4 and maybe even 3 position. So I think Lauri will, and I'll give you one more, just in case. We got to keep an eye on what's happening in Charlotte. And I think LaMelo Ball's time could be up. But you know, I don't know if others pick that, but that's somebody, if you know, if it wasn't Laurie, or I think both of them could potentially be moved depending on how Charlotte's season kind of start.
The biggest name that will be moved by the deadline, and I hate saying I don't like to be drinking in the Kool-Aid of controversy, but watch for what happens to Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's just what it is. If the Milwaukee Bucks are having a disappointing season, now that you've also spent the money for Miles Turner, watch for Giannis's name to be bantered about. And if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, I would not poo-poo the idea of it, because you really are going to need a haul in order for you to kind of reset the table for where that franchise needs to be moving forward.
Absolutely feels like, okay, this is a make or break. This is the make or break year for him. And we can look at these rosters, and while nothing is determined, you can also kind of figure Milwaukee is not a champion, is not a title team. We'll see how well they do in the Eastern Conference, especially with a motivated and maybe perhaps like, okay, last stand, season from Giannis. But I'm right there with you. If they are not significantly in the mix, if I'm Giannis, and it wouldn't surprise me, to hear this, by the deadline, we're going to start having those conversations, or before
Absolutely.
the deadline, we're going to start having those conversations.
The biggest name that will be moved at the deadline, Jabari, I really, really believe it's going to be LeBron James.
Ooh,
And
okay.
it will have it's sort of like a domino effect. Look, if the Knicks get off to a struggle of a start, obviously with the new head coach and Mike Brown there and trying to implement his offensive system and really the expectations defensively, if they get off to a struggle and they kind of limp in towards that trade deadline, I think the tea leaves are already laid out in terms of Mike Brown, who has a relationship with LeBron James. You're looking at obviously an individual that comes into New York City that is able to play on that stage. And, I'll equate it to, if anything, my beloved Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when the decision was to go out and get Tom Brady, bring in somebody with a championship pedigree. Now you bring him in there, and obviously you'll have to give up some pieces. But I'd like a LeBron James to be moved, perhaps at the deadline, only if the Knicks are really, really struggling. And I won't say really struggling, but they're having some challenges, because the expectations are for them to come out of that Eastern Conference. If not them, definitely Cleveland. So I would say LeBron James is the biggest name that would be moved at the NBA trade deadline.
So this is the first name that came to mind. Is a lot more wishful thinking on my part, but I went with Zach LaVine. I think that's a guy that, and I know it's hard to say the word deserve in sports, but like I think that's a guy that deserves to be on a winning team or a playoff team. Like for him to make the strides that I feel like he's made the last couple seasons, especially scoring the ball, I think being a little bit more efficient. He still has his flaws, but I think doing a little bit better job, knowing when to get to the rim, knowing when to shoot. But I think that he deserves to not be on a bad franchise. Forget bad team, Jabari, bad franchise, So I would love to see him elsewhere, like on a winning team, like Detroit, Denver, somewhere like there.
If we're keeping it real, like I know that people have their opinions about him, but at least from the outside looking in, it looks like he's been a consummate professional. Like injuries, that's going to happen in professional sports. Like in life, they happen. I stubbed my toe. I'm sitting down for 2 weeks. These guys are doing actual damage to their bodies. But like I would agree with you. I'm of the same opinion. There's no deserve. Either you win or you don't, or your situation sometimes it sucks, sometimes it doesn't. But if there's a guy that I would like to see in a better situation, it is I would agree. Zach LaVine would be on that list. So he's one. Anybody else?
And unfortunately, I just keep thinking of Bulls. Nikola Vucevic. I would love to see him somewhere else. I thought Golden State should have been pushing for him a little bit. I didn't know what the contract situation was like, but I thought anybody that needed a big man, I thought he should be in that conversation, because even on a smaller scale, all he gonna do, if you just want him to set screens, shoot threes, get some rebounds, score in the block, like come on, he can pass, like he doesn't have to be an all-star. So he's another guy.
Pride of USC. Look, I'm biased. Like as crazy as it is, being from Los Angeles, I didn't choose the easier path. I didn't choose to be a UCLA basketball fan. I was a USC basketball fan.
This is a tie for me. I have biggest player to be moved by the deadline. I have Joel Embiid.
I thought that's where you were going. Okay.
Yeah, of the Philadelphia 76ers, and LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers.
All right. Quick question about that. We're going to come back to Joel because I love that name because, quite frankly, if you're the Sixers, what the hell are you doing otherwise?
Exactly.
We've seen this movie. We've seen it enough. We've seen it enough.
Best for both parties. Joel needs a change of scenery. Philly needs to move on from this era. Yes.
Absolutely. The LeBron side of it. Where is he actually going? Because to be clear, I thought there was a chance he was going to be moved this offseason. I really did. I thought they're saying the right thing, but this all right, this is going to be the most random reference ever. Remember in The Wire, have you seen The Wire? Let me
I have, yes.
Okay. Remember when Butchie was like, nah, this don't feel right. That's how I felt. That's how I felt all summer. Like, he's saying kind of the right things, but he's also leaving the door open. He's doing his little silly stuff where he's, I'm going to take a picture in front of the Clippers logo. Oh, but it was at a former building. Shut up with all that. We know the deal. And to be clear, I love LeBron. I hope he stays, but it would not shock me. It would not shock me. Where do you think he goes if he goes somewhere?
I think he ends up in New York, Nick.
Ooh.
I could see it. I could see it.
Okay.
How do you feel about Karl Anthony Towns sporting the purple and gold?
Thank you for respecting my privacy at this time.
It's been a good conversation. I'll see you on the next one, JB.
As crazy as it sounds, it would be fine. Like, I'm fine with Cat. He's never going to be anything more than what he is, and that's okay. I think that sometimes people just had unrealistic expectations for him. And, there have been plenty of players that had less talent than him that have been successful in this league. So to me, it can be a matter of the right combination of talent around you. It can be a matter of the timing of it. And it can be a matter of your specific situation. For Cat, I felt like last year, for the Knicks, that was perfect. I know Knicks fans down the stretch, they may have been a little upset, or they may have said what happened? I mean, have you not been watching his entire career? It sometimes it's feast or famine, especially in a big moment. But along the way, you're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yes, you are.
Give me your dark horse teams in each conference, not just the teams that you'll be watching, because they're fun to watch, but the teams that have a legitimate title shot.
Teams that I have as dark horse favorites. Again, the Detroit Pistons. I've been high on this team for the last couple of years. They finally have their coach, and I think they finally have the core number of players that they can go out there and compete. It's about these guys basically stepping it up and capturing the moment. So watch for the Detroit Pistons. On the opposite side in the Western Conference, people should pay attention to the the Sacramento Kings. Now, listen, I'm not saying that the Sacramento Kings are going to do anything crazy, but they can't upset the apple cart. And by doing that, that means that you have a very heavily contested Pacific Division. I often say teams that people don't pay attention to can be a true demarcation about where the other teams truly can or where they want to be. So while we want to praise the Lakers, we want to praise the Warriors, we want to praise, the other teams, that watching how a team young like the Sacramento Kings come out and compete against those teams can kind of give you an idea of how that all will play itself out. If they even put themselves in a play-in situation, I think given the circumstances of what's happened to them last year, if they settle in, I think that they can compete with anybody that's out there.
I love it. I'm gonna tell you right now that you are going to be the only person that picks the Kings. But and while I don't think they're contenders, I will say I love a young team like that playing spoiler, which is I think along the lines. Whereas on a given night, you may overlook them and you may take a 25-point loss. We'll see where they get to ultimately, but I love that pick.
I'm big on Atlanta. Out east. The under the radar teams out east would definitely be Atlanta for me. Atlanta or Orlando, one of those two is going to do something more than we expect. Out west is interesting because there's not a lot of under the radar teams out west, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's tough to be
kind of high profile.
Unless you're saying like the Spurs or somebody, it's tough to.
Yeah, they're not under the radar though. They got a bunch of. They have the second pick of the draft. They have Wemby and De'Aaron. That's not on the radar. Like under the radar would be like Portland, That's
true. Okay.
But that's a play-in team because they have some talent, but at the same time, Drew Holiday is probably worth more as an asset than on the court for them as a grand scheme. But they need a lot to go their way. Well, I'd probably say Portland if I had to take a guess. Portland.
Give me your dark horse team or teams from each conference. And again, not like the cutesy team that's fun to watch, but the teams that you think can legitimately win a title.
My dark horse team that I believe that can win an NBA title will be number one. You know, I'll say this backstory, Jabari, when I answer that. Before I answer that, when you look at the West, I think it literally this year could come down to 4 or 5 teams, right? Like I don't believe in the Oklahoma City Thunder have an opportunity to repeat. I just really don't, because I think obviously, you know, things have to really fall right for you. But then it's going to be about matchups come the playoffs, right? Like teams that really match up and who gets knocked out. I would have to say my dark horse, if any, Cleveland. I think Cleveland in the Eastern Conference that can potentially win an NBA championship. That would be a big stretch. But my dark horse in the Western Conference, I'm gonna have to say Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, I said that, Anthony Edwards, I'm predicting he's going to be an MVP. He would be a guy that I honestly believe that could really help that team get there. But I'll throw another one in there. If I can, if I can scratch out the Cleveland Cavaliers,
all right,
I'm gonna throw the Clippers in there.
Okay.
The LA Clippers, and the reason why I'm throwing the LA Clippers in, so I'm gonna say my dark horse teams come out of the Western Conference: Minnesota Timberwolves and the LA Clippers. Even regardless of whatever's transpiring off the court with the whole thing with the Kawhi and Governor Ballmer, Steve Ballmer, this is still a team that's built to win now, and they have enough talent. They have enough ability and experience. The biggest thing is with them has always been health. And I like them based upon the matchups, right? If they can have the favorable matchup, this is a team that if you look up, they could be a team that will not only be in the NBA Finals, but they could be a dark horse team to win it all.
Out east, I've been rolling on the Atlanta Hawks bandwagon a little bit.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
When the Chris Tapps trade went down, I saw the comparison. Somebody was like, this is like what the Sixers did in 01 with AI, like, smaller guy, dominant dude, but they surrounded him with more grit and just high energy wings and obviously they end up getting Dikembe. They traded for him. So I think the Hawks are doing a similar thing. I really think back to how they played around the NBA Cup last year. They started climbing the standings just a little bit. Again, Orlando was right with them. Obviously, Cleveland was doing what they were doing, Boston, New York. But the Atlanta Hawks started to show some promise with Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels. Ricochet showed up before the trade. DeAndre Hunter was putting up 19 a game for them. So I think with the core that they have, if they can stay healthy, they should be one of the dark horse threats in the East for sure. I just love what they got on paper.
I absolutely love that pick. I think I don't remember what preview or summer show that I was on. I'm in agreement. They were one of the teams that I mentioned specifically because it does seem like they are finally putting it together around Trey. Like they've been exciting at times in the past. They've been fun to watch, but it hasn't been like a team where I'm like, no, that's a team to watch out for. By and large, right now it does feel that way, and I love that comparison to the 2001 Sixers specifically because if you're going to build a winner around a diminutive guard that obviously has a ton of skill on one side of the ball, what better that is one that is an example that I would try to emulate. So I'm here for it and I love it. Anybody else?
Not out east, but the West. Now the thing about the West is like, who is a dark horse? Because the West is so stacked. And I've been rooting for the Clippers the last few seasons. I've fell into that trap, man. They know how to sign players that I like, and so I end up being a cheating on the Bulls a little bit sometimes and, rooting for the Clippers. But I guess you could put them there because of the injuries. And, shout out to Kawhi, there's clearly some championship aspirations, if you will.
True aspirations.
Multiple aspirations.
Yeah. Title aspirations, payday aspirations. They're just aspiring to be great. I get it. I understand.
Yeah. So I'm rolling with them out west. I honestly, I said on my show, I don't know if the Timberwolves have it in them to go to 3 straight conference finals. So that's why I'm a little bit hesitant to pick them. But yeah, I just stuck with the Clips.
Yeah, this one's a little harder for me, especially when it comes to the West. So I'll start in the East, but we've touched on it. So and just for clarity purposes too, I think there was a question about executive of the year going into it, and I'm actually picking Atlanta's executive. I know Rafael Stone's not a great summer, obviously, with the addition of Kevin Durant, but I think his name's on Cecile from Atlanta as executive of the year, which also then leads me into my dark horse team in the Eastern Conference will be the Atlanta Hawks as well too. There's a lot of people who and there's a lot to like about what they did. It's easy to forget that they were playing really well, the in-season tournament and all of that, and then Jalen Johnson got hurt and was done for the year, and that significantly changed, I think, the trajectory of that team and that roster. But that guy is a certified hooper. Okongwu's going to get more minutes now. They obviously, got a great deal from Boston to get Porzingis on this roster as well too. You add Dyson Daniels back into this mix. I think this Hawks team, alluded to with Trae Young, this is one of the better Hawks teams that he's ever been on, if not the best. So they're my dark horse team in the East. I know a lot of people will probably pick Orlando, which makes a lot of sense too with Desmond Bane. Yep. But I'm going to go with Atlanta on this, and maybe I'm cacawing, maybe ahead of my time, but I'm going to go with that. And in the West, there's not a great answer here. So for the purposes of this, and to maybe be a little controversial, to even contradict myself some, the team that I'm going to pick as a dark horse is going to be the Clippers. And it's everything has to break right. Yeah. But we know it never does. But the caveat to this is that while they are old by NBA standards, they are very experienced with a lot of useful guys, from John Collins to Lopez, and still Derek Jones Jr. and obviously even Bradley Beal for the super cheap, Chris Paul. In addition to where they have a Kawhi, Zubac's basically breakout year, making all defensive third team all defensive team last year and everything like that. Again, it all has to go well, but the acumen of Ty Lue as a head coach, you give him some guys and really like some true soldiers in the stable where he can kind of go out there when the inevitable injury kind of comes out. Again, you're saying dark horse. Again, I don't think there's a lot of great answers in the West because the West is very, very interesting and tough. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Clippers on that against my better judgment.
All right, last one for you. Give me a team that everyone else is convinced of that you are not. Throw your hater hat on. Throw your hater hat on. Everybody else says this team is going to be good, but nah.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but it's going to be the Milwaukee Bucks. Look, I have been so high on Giannis, man. I don't think he gets enough credit for the type of player that he's been for the last 5 or 6 years. What you get from Giannis, drives what's now happened with Jokic and SGA. He's what stirred a drink because he now made us pay attention to how a player comes up and develops, especially as an international player. And because of him, we're setting these expectations for the Luka Doncic's that are in the world, right? Because of what he does, it's realigned the importance of where the Houston Rockets now are and their window of opportunity, and why they threw out, the Brinks truck in order to bring in Kevin Durant, right? Like, I'm just saying that he kind of helps set the tone. I don't know where we're going to be when it comes to all of that, but I feel like the Milwaukee Bucks have mishandled the last couple of years of what Giannis has brought to the table. He's not been aligned with the kind of players, and have taken players that I think has enabled and helped him to be as a championship level, despite some of their shortcomings and disappointing finishes and things of that nature. But while everybody is still high on the hog about, hey, as long as we got Giannis, we got a chance, that's not how things are shaping out. I think it's a tough road ahead. I would hate to see them getting knocked out again by basically falling short of expectations. Maybe that may not be the case. But I think this is the path for the New York Knicks. I think a lot of pressure is on them to get the job done and get themselves to the finals. And I think they're going to get there. I just hate seeing what's going to happen to the Milwaukee Bucks, because I feel like this is going to be that year that maybe they should have really rethought about how they wanted to move forward and what they wanted to do. And leaving him hanging in that circumstance is just going to suck if they don't perform to expectations.
A team that everyone else is seemingly convinced on that I am not for this NBA season, 2025-2026. Unfortunately, I have to select the Milwaukee Bucks. Ooh. Yes, you acquired Miles Turner. Yes, somehow you were able to bring back Giannis Antetokounmpo, but I just don't see it. I think that Milwaukee era has passed. I actually believe this will be Giannis's last season in Milwaukee. I hope the Bucks fan base, that's a part of your fan base, Jabari, doesn't come for me on this. I won't share my at. But what I will say is, I just think that era, I think that timeline, that window that they had, I just think it's past now. And this is going to be a huge season for Giannis. I'm just not as high on Milwaukee as it seems like other people are. I am much higher on the New York Knicks and, dare I say, even the Atlanta Hawks of the world.
I'm actually not upset at that. I think Giannis, kind of like what I was saying about Booker, I think Giannis is going to put up incredible numbers. I think Giannis is going to look filthy.
100%.
Giannis could be in the conversation for all three of these, and it is not hyperbole. Leading scorer of the league, MVP, and defensive player of the year. Like he could be in that conversation, and they could still be a mid to mediocre team. And absolutely, it's just and I'm sorry. So Bucks fans, if you don't go after Tyler, you can go after me. That's fine. But at the same time, I'm not saying anything that you don't know. You know that 1 + 1 = 2. This isn't new math.
As for the team, I'm not sold on the Clippers. They are old. Yeah, they're expecting older players and to perform in this league the way this league is played, and they don't have a lot of guys that can get easy baskets. They have a lot of guys that shoot jumpers. They have a lot of guys that make tough baskets. There's not a lot of guys that get easy looks. So that means you're working hard and harder to get offense. Kind of those things really don't mix well. And they got a lot of guys that get hurt a lot. So for me, like there's a lot of hype on the Clippers. I'm kind of like pump my brakes. Kind of same thing with the Warriors. I think the Warriors are a much older team. They got older this week. I'm not a big fan of older teams in this NBA, the way the game is played. The way the schedule is, I'm just not a fan of him. Even though Al Horford's a very productive player, he knows his role. He's my age. He's born 3 days before me. He is 39 years old. There is no way you can expect him to make it through the whole season, especially playing the way they play. It's just not going to happen. So those are two teams out west. Out east, I mean, we don't care about Milwaukee, do we? There's expectations on them, right?
I was just gonna say, I think they'll be exactly what we think they will be. Like they'll be like 5th, 6th seed. No disrespect, 5th, 6th seed in a season when the conference is down.
Right. So it's like I don't want to rehash the Philly thing because we already know what that is. I mean, if there's any hype on them, they'd be the team because I like what we talking about. We talking about 35-year-old Paul George and Embiid and that group. Like, come on, what we doing?
The team that I am not necessarily sold on is the Houston Rockets, and and the reason being that I'm not really sold on the Houston Rockets is, granted, they got a lot of young players, right, mixed in with some of the vets. You lose Fred VanVleet. There's going to be a time and period where they're going to have to learn how to play together and with one another, and then establishing the roles. I do give them a lot of credit that they have a lot of size with Capella, Steven Adams to go along with Sengun, but it's going to be a challenge and it's going to be a process to figure out. Obviously, yes, Durant is brought in there to be the closer. He's supposed to be the guy. But what about the development of Alfred Sengun, who's a guy that obviously has shown a lot. He's taken a lot of steps forward. This is a guy that clearly looks like he's on that path to be your next best thing. So I think that that's going to be a challenge for them. And then to add insult to injury, You know, Fred VanVleet was a guy that was really, really a great stabilizer. As we had mentioned before, look, they don't have the financial resources or ability to be able to go out and get a guy like a Drew Holiday. So the loss of a guy like VanVleet, I don't think it will be felt in the regular season. I think clearly that is something that could rear its ugly head come playoffs.
Unfortunately, that team is the Memphis Grizzlies. And it's not to say that they are a bad team. It's just, I feel like since 2022, this team, we know they can be a really good regular season team, but to me, they just don't make sense come playoff time. Like, if Ja Morant isn't out there, and shout out to Jaren Jackson, he had a good scoring year last year, but if Ja Morant is not on the floor, that team doesn't know how to score. And that's what makes me so nervous about them losing Desmond Bane, because even Desmond Bane wasn't a elite scorer, but he certainly played the role a few nights. But to lose him, and now you don't really feel that void, I don't know, Jabari. I don't know. Like, Memphis is the team, I just don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
Right. So the team that I am not sold on right now, and with good reason, is going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're going into the season already hobbled and injured. Garland, some sort of turf toe. Max Strus is also injured as well. And while they've had great regular season success, I think everyone just expects them to run it back, right? And be a 60-plus win team again in the weekend Eastern Conference. And, you know, be right up there competing for the top of the East with the New York Knicks. And we all know that they need to prove it in the playoffs. But I'm just not convinced that they're going to have this great regular season again. I think some teams are going to, in some ways, kind of figure them out. They're not going to surprise people. And, you know, I just, again, with them going with all these injuries as well, too, I'm just not there on Cleveland as like this juggernaut team. They should be, but they're going to have to prove it to me.